Welcome back to Getting Started with Linux. I'm your host, Daniel Lowrie, and in today's episode, we are going to take a look at the introduction to Debian-based package management, joined as always by our good friend, Ross Brunson. Ross, glad to have you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here today because while extremely important, sometimes can end up being a little bit difficult, package management, how we get stuff installed in the system. For Debian-based systems, they have their own stuff. You're going to take us through it. Where do we begin?
Save me, Mr. Instructor, from the package management demons. Yes.
The big bad package manager.
Well, package management has traditionally been a bit difficult. And that's gotten a lot easier because now we're no longer using tools like simply dpkg or whatever. Remember we talked about how Linux and Unix commands will always do one thing and do it really, really well?
Yes, sir.
Except sometimes documentation or help, okay? The dpkg command and all of its brothers and sisters that are in that suite of tools do one thing each and do it really well. Okay, it works with packages. But then we've come a long way with the use of like the apt-get and apt packaging systems. So now you can say apt-get query some package, and it'll just take care of everything underneath the covers. So we'll spend just a tiny bit of showing you the querying of a package, because you might have a package on disk and want to know what the deal is. But you'll do 99% of your work with package management through the automated tools and the more friendly tools these days.
Gotcha.
So let's switch over to the system, and I have gone ahead and typed in dpkg- and hit the double tab here, and you'll see things like the dpkg deb. You see query, you see trigger, you see all these things. The main thing is that what I'm able to do is use the dpkg command to individually interact with the packages themselves. Now I can install them, and I can install several of them if I get them in the right order, but it doesn't really do dependencies that well. That would be the automated packaging or apt-get suite that does that. So let's go ahead and jump into my downloads folder here, where I've thoughtfully pre-placed a package called tree. If you've seen any of our videos, you know I really like tree. It's very helpful. It gives us a tree-like format of files and directories. And so what we can do is we can run dpkg-deb and then a minus, say, f, and get some information about this package. Never, ever, ever install packages loosely from the internet without querying them. Okay, it's very important not to just randomly install stuff that you find. Because,
where's the fun in that?
Well, and the fun in that is all the troubleshooting that comes afterwards. Right, so now let's take a real quick look at what this package has come back and told us. So the package name is tree, there's the version, the architecture, there's the maintainer, okay, who's one of the Debian people. The installed size, any dependencies. So this literally has one dependency, and that's libc.
Okay.
All right, so this is a very simple utility that's out there, and it has a nice description, and then it's got the actual homepage of where it is, that kind of thing. So this is querying the package information using the dpkg-deb tool. Now I could run dpkg-i and install this package, but it's a lot more fun to use the automated packaging tools. Okay, so let's go ahead and run apt-tab, and you'll see all kinds of interesting tools that are part of the automated packaging tool suite. Most commonly used would be apt-get. So for example, if I want to, let's go clear this. Now when you're working with packaging, outside of just querying anything that's going to change the package database, so maybe I should step back for a moment. Packages exist on disk in an uninstalled state, or in a state that means they're on disk. It's a file. Once the file or the package has been installed, it gets put up into the package database, which is maintained by the system, and most of your queries, like if you just query a package by name, is going to look at the database and not the file on disk itself. So this is one that really kind of trips people up. They're like, well, the file's already installed. Well, yeah, it's in the database. It's not the one on disk. So if we run apt-get, you'll have to remember to put sudo in front of it. Now, sudo, or sudo, just depends on who you talk to. I'm sure I'll get some letters about that, or emails. From the Sudo Appreciation Society. Sudo is a way of saying, hey, you're not a root user, but I'm going to let you act as a root user. I'm going to give you access to a few utilities that lets you do things. This was actually not pioneered, but really made popular by the Ubuntu distributions, which we happen to be running right here, because it was so difficult to make users able to do things without giving them elevated privileges. So what we can do is go back and say sudo apt-get, and then we're going to run the update. Now, update is kind of like warming up before exercise. What you want to do is you want to have it go out and query the sources list of available package repositories, just groups of packages. These are maintained by Ubuntu, and pull down the latest information about those and get ready to do something with your system. So when I do the update, it's going to ask me for my root password, or my password, sorry, to act as root. And then it's gone out and it's looked at the various repositories that are there, has pulled down the latest information, ready to go. So always warm up before
This is the pregame.
That's right, exactly. You got to do this. It's like
That's right. Get the stretching done. Right? You don't want to pull a hammy, but you're trying to get GIMP installed or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's do the before the karate match warm up. And the reason why is you want to have the very latest package information. Otherwise, you can get a nasty surprise because somebody has changed something. A dependency is different. Your system has changed. Really, not a lot of fun. So what we can do now is we can do sudo apt-get install. Now, I love the fact that I can use just the regular language to do these things. Well, sudo is not really language, and apt-get's not really language, but it's the install part. That's the one that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the tree command. And it's going to go out and find the tree command, come back and tell me that it's not upgrading. It's going to be a brand new install. Gives me other information about what it's done, prepare the database, sets it up, processes any triggers. Now, there might be something that gets kicked off as part of the installation of this package that says, hey, I have a script that configures this package and it should be run now. And I'll automatically get a prompt that says, here, now you need to fill this out. So if you install Apache or something like that, wants to know where the directories it goes to, that kind of thing, that would be a part of an install script. So now I should be able to run the tree command and see tree command output.
Amazing. Again, you are a wizard, sir.
Right. Only in a very specific
You just
format.
happen to know the magic incantation to make this work, right?
That's right. So now what I want to also do is talk a little bit about some of the other things that you can do. Now, when packages are on the system and you want to do an update, okay, so an update, distribution upgrades and updates and things like that, we had done an update, but I might want to do an upgrade of my system. What that does is that goes out and it looks at everything that's installed on my system, goes and compares that with the repository, the official repository, and then comes back and says, you're going to have to download, X number of packages will be upgraded, X number will be removed, sometimes that happens if it's out of date, and this is what you're going to have to download. Would you like to do this? Well, sure. Why not? So apt-get and then upgrade and tree. Now, the reason why I'm calling it tree at this point is because I'm not dealing with a disk file. I'm dealing with a package that's installed in the database. So very important. When I hit enter, it comes back, and lo and behold, no surprise, there's nothing there, but we went through the options so you could see what was there. Now, I'm not going to do it here because it can take quite some time depending upon bandwidth and availability, but you can also do an interesting thing called updates. Okay, so we'll do like, here, if I want to update my system. Now, remember, we're about to do something with packages. What's the first thing we want to do?
Sudo.
Well, yeah, sudo. But we want to make sure that we do the update before we do any
Oh, right, we
upgrades.
do our pre-warm-up, right?
Pre-warm up first, do the update, right? So apt-get update, right? And that goes out, reads the package's information, nothing new, right? Just did it a minute ago. Now, at this point, we can do a apt-get upgrade, Grade, like that. If I do an upgrade, that'll go out and find the packages that have been changed since the last time we did one, pull that information down and ask me, do you really want to do this? And like I said, this can be a lot of information, and it just depends on what you're doing. One more option that's here before we move on would be the dist minus upgrade, which will effectively take you to the next or most current version of the operating system. Okay, so there's a lot of discussion out there as to does it take it to the next level, so 1804 to 19 or something like that, but it effectively upgrades all the software to make it as similar to that. I don't think it changes the release file or the identification or anything, but it's real close. So this is another option for that. So now let's go ahead and cancel that, and let's get rid of the file that we just installed. Okay, so sudo apt-get, and then remove, and then tree. You really want to do this. Yes, I love the tree command. However, for the sake of this, I will remove it.
We will sacrifice it to
right. So now we've taken it out. There's one more just to throw in there, and it's called purge. So sudo apt-get, and then purge. Now, the purpose for purge is, let's say you've had a system in service for a while, and you've done a fair number of upgrades and updates, etc. And so your package cache, the thing that when we download the packages, will get larger and larger and larger, and you'll see that you're using a lot of disk space for old versions of files that you're probably not going to go back to. So what you can do is you can set the times for, how long does it keep them, etc. And when you run a purge, it'll go and it'll look, and obviously since we've done barely anything there, it won't find anything. But it will then clean out the cache for anything longer or older than a particular date. So this is just, like we said, a quick intro to Debian package management. There's so much more about package management, but it would definitely consume probably half or more of another course. Yes. So there's a lot of really good documentation out there, give you enough to get started here, and happy package management.
Yeah, package management is something we definitely need to have as a skill set if you're going to be working in a Linux environment, especially here using Debian-based systems. You're going to want to use that apt-get or dpkg, so make sure you're good to go on those things. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We will be back for more, but as for this episode, we're going to sign out. We'll see you next time.